everybody. I'm going to be posting this video as a response to the other video that I made. I apologize, my computer, for some reason the sound wasn't working, so I saw that there was some guys on there commenting saying that they really wish that the video had sound, so I decided that I would redo it for you. This is going to be a video on how to reduce the trigger pull on your Beretta Nano. I just want to preface this by saying I'm not a gunsmith, and this is the first time that I've actually done any sort of modification work to a gun. It has worked excellent for me, but you know, you're doing this at your own risk. Like I said, I'm not a professional gunsmith. So with that being said, let's get on with the video. My weapon is clear. I'll start out by showing you guys the trigger pull on my gun. You'll be able to see that it breaks a lot closer to the front than the stock trigger does. Not sure how well you can tell, but I would say that about probably a quarter to an eighth of an inch has been taken off of the length of the trigger pull, and the trigger pull is also probably reduced by, I'd say, a good 3 to 4 pounds. So this does definitely work, and it improved my accuracy with this gun. I can't even tell you. I mean, my groups went from 6 to 7 inch groups at 10 yards to you know, 2 to 3 inch groups. I can shoot the gun very accurately all the way up to 30 yards. So it's helped me a ton. To get started, what you're going to do is you're going to take the gun down, and this is kind of a two-part process. Go ahead and remove your slide, and the main component that you're going to be working with is the striker, which you can see is this piece right here. And I actually have two strikers. I have one which is the factory striker that I ordered from BROWNELLS, and I did this because of the fact that I was tampering with the striker that was in my gun. In case something got screwed up, I wanted to have a spare so that I can always put it back to stock. So to remove that, you're going to have to remove the butt plate, the back plate here, and then how you do that is you pull down on the striker, you push in on the striker block, and then you insert something into this hole here and pull down on this all at the same time. So there's some videos online of how to take this apart. I'm not going to get too in depth on taking it apart. I'm just going to show you guys what I did. So go ahead and pop that off and pop out the striker. Now, before I did any modification to the striker, I took the whole trigger frame apart, and I actually did pretty much a Glock 25-cent trigger job on all of my moving parts. So you can see that cam there, I've polished that, and I also took the whole chassis out and polished all of the trigger bar and pretty much anywhere where there's moving parts that are going to be creating friction. It's fairly straightforward. You guys can look at how to do it on a Glock, look at the videos on how to take your trigger guard apart and do the same thing. I mean, I figured it out on my own, so it's really simple as far as that. It definitely smoothed things out without even modifying the striker at all. It probably took a half a pound to maybe a pound off of the trigger pull, and as far as taking the grittiness out of the pull, huge improvement just on that. Just a quick note, a lot of the weight of this trigger is based on the spring. So you can see that spring right there. That spring is what determines a lot of the weight of your trigger pull. One thing that I did when I took this all apart is I actually took the trigger and I turned it all the way around inside of the frame. You can actually, with this all disassembled, you can rotate the trigger so that it's all the way back out to the front. And then what I did is I just wedged like a paper clip or something like that in there, and then I left that overnight to kind of put a lot of stress on this trigger spring, because to modify the trigger spring is it's a little bit more involved, and I wasn't able to get the part. It was on back order, so I can't just go modifying, you know, my trigger spring that's in here. But basically think of it as it would be the same as depressing your trigger, except your trigger is being depressed from here all the way around and then all the way back. So it's like depressing your trigger like 5 or 6 times what it would normally be depressed, and then I left that overnight, and so it took a little bit of the resistance out of my trigger spring. That's another little quick tip. But getting down to the main thing that you're going to be doing here to modify your trigger pull is the striker. And so you can see, looking side by side, this one on the left here that's very shiny is the one that I modified, and I polished this. That's why it has that mirrored finish to it. And this is the factory one. So if I put these side by side, and let me try to line it up the best I can here, you can see the difference. It's kind of hard because they're not the same, but let me put it like this. I guess it would help if I put the sorry, that's probably really difficult to get on the camera. But basically what you're going to do is, what I did is I took a knife sharpening stone and I laid the striker down on the stone, and what I found worked best was to use a coarse stone instead of using a fine stone. With a fine stone I found that it was really easy to make a lot of different ridges and dips and all different kinds of angles on this, which you do not want. So I found it easier to do this with a coarse stone. And basically what you're going to do is lay your stone, and you're going to put your striker down on top of the stone, and you're going to push this and try to maintain the same angle as what you have here. So you want to keep the pitch about the same and not reduce it. So if your pitch is like this, you want to angle your striker on the stone so that it's flush, and you're going to over time shave this down. Now I would say, looking at mine side by side, I've probably got 3/1000ths of an inch shaved off of mine, and the pitch is actually, it's not much, but it's a little bit, just a hair flatter. So if if your angle is like this, mine is just a little bit slighter than what it comes with. And one good thing that I found is that on the factory trigger striker, if you look, and it's going to be really difficult to see this, but there's a wear mark. I don't know if you can catch that. If you look up right up here on the edge where that rides, there's a wear mark there. And when you're tapering that down, if you taper down into that wear mark, if you cut about half of the area of where that wear mark is, that's about where mine is at. And you have to be really careful when you're doing this, because you don't want to take too much off. But I would just say, sand it down, check it, see where it's at, see where your trigger pull's at, get it to where you like it, and then you're gonna have to it's a little bit of a process to do it, but you can do it. I did it over a couple day period, and an hour here, an hour there, and just kept playing with it until I found where I liked it. So it's definitely doable. It is a little bit involved, but you know, after you find about the right pull that you're looking for, you're gonna have to you know, get some sort of a metal polish and a Dremel and really just buff that striker until you know, you have a nice mirrored finish on there. So if you can see that, that's mirrored. Here's the standard one. I know it's really hard to see, but there you go. So that's pretty much it. You know, give it a shot. If you guys have any questions, you know, leave a comment, and I'll do my best to answer them. So I wish you guys the best of luck. Like I said, I did it to my gun, and I absolutely love it. You know, if you want to go ahead and order an extra striker before you start doing it, I would highly recommend that, just in case you do screw something up. You know, test fire your gun or whatever. I've put a couple hundred rounds through my gun since I've done this and have not had a single issue, no misfires, no anything of any sorts. It functions better than it did when I originally purchased the gun, and like I said, it increased my accuracy exponentially. So yeah, that's about it. I'm gonna put this back together, and what I'll do is I'll pop the factory striker in here. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna put the modified striker back in. You guys are pretty familiar with what the trigger pull is already like, so let me go ahead and just show you that real quick again of what it is like modified. Alright, here you go one more time. So you can see that's about where the break is right there. Where the factory trigger breaks all the way at the back, mine breaks right about there. So that's about how much you're going to reduce by. And I'll show you the reset real quick. The reset stays about the same. So there it is. It's pretty much just at the front, just like normal. You're really only taking it off with the pull. Alright guys, like I said, if you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment. Otherwise, you know, good luck, happy shooting.